Well, Cade. That was something. Hello, everybody.
That was a banger.
That was a banger. Welcome back to the Team Netcode channel. Banger is all I can say. We just saw one hell of a feature event. Pardon me if I seem a little distracted here. I do still have the stream on. I know they're just about to do the pole shuffle draw here shortly once they wrap up the festivities in Victory Lane. But holy smokes, was the final preliminary night of the 40th annual Chili Bowl Nationals quite something. We're going to dive into that here shortly, but before we start, please make sure you hit like on the video that you're watching if it's on YouTube, Facebook. Also, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I'm going to be tongue-tied after watching that. I'm sorry. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Also, hit subscribe if you're so inclined. That helps us out a lot. Gets us in front of more people. As I've been saying all week, we closed out the week of preliminary action in probably the best way we possibly could. Logan Seavey gets the win in just an absolute hellacious race. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so we are going to pretty much fly right through all the prelim action that led to the feature. So going to go ahead and dive right in, Cade. We'll get to the heat races again. Just jump in like we've been doing on the heat races if you have any comments there. But heat 1 started off with Matt Westphal winning from the pole. Darren Pittman went 10-4. Good buddy. There was a big mistake by Clinton Boyles, however, on the last lap. He was trying to get around the slower car, kind of got tagged together with the front to rear bumper, tried to get out of it. They were stuck and kind of screwed his night really from the jump there. He couldn't really recover. Tried to make a soup run. We'll talk about in a little bit. Did come up just a little bit short. Heat 2, Santino Ferrucci. He was very excited to pick up his heat race win. He also won from the pole. However, Jack Wagner, big Midwest racer that we know. I know he watches some of our stuff as well. He just got off to a bad start and got launched. Dusty Young was pogoing on the front stretch, and Jack caught the tire and he launched into the catch fence. It led to an open red. We had some fence repairs. That was also the heat race that Logan Seavey was in. He went 8-2. Chris Andrews also went 7-3. I just liked seeing Santino really jacked up. He's been in huge races, Indy 500, of course, but he was very excited to pick up that win.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel like that shows what the Chili Bowl means to people that don't win
absolutely
heat races there and win prelim nights. I feel like that was kind of what we saw tonight, was a lot of people that you've seen win there before, and seeing him that jacked up was really cool.
And shows how hard it is.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a little bit this week that the prelim nights are a little bit watered down, obviously, because you have, a lot of the talent spread out throughout the week, but it's still very difficult. You still have to compete with 60, 70 cars in a night. So cool to see that. Hayden Ridenbold, another one, went 1-1 in his heat race, number 3. Justin Grant put on a very nice drive. He went 9-3. That set him as the high point man through the heat races. Heat 4, Jack Berger went 3-1 and took the win in heat 4, as I said. Had a little more carnage. That was the theme of the night for sure. The flip count, I think they were going to break it there for a little bit because we just kept sending cars everywhere. Andrew Felker had an issue. Don't remember if they ever disclosed what happened there, if it was an engine or electrical deal. Frankie Guarini tried to get around him, and Ryan Bickett was wrong place, wrong time, launched off his right rear and also went into the catch fence. Had a little bit of repairs that had to go on there. Was good to see Ryan back out in the race later on. He was able to continue, so that was good to see. Wout Hoffmans, remember that name. He went 4-1 to win heat 5. That was another, thing that we were going to see later on in the night from that young man. Michael Hubert also was a big mover in heat 5. He went 7-2. Heat number 6, Giovanni Scelzi won from the pole. Jesse Love, Jesse Love went 5-2. Was a little disappointed later in the night, but I think he probably is going to end up pretty happy with the way that his night ended up. Austin Wood won heat 7, went 2-1, as did Gavin Miller in heat 8. Steven Snyder Jr., your pick to win tonight, he went 9-4. Pretty nice drive from him. And then we had one last pole winner. Aiden Schmidt went 1-1 in the final heat race. What do you think of the heats, Cade? Lots of carnage.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that really stood out to me was hearing Gio say that as long as he doesn't crash, it's a good race in a midget. that
Yeah,
that goes to show how tough those things are to handle, especially when you're used to driving a wing sprint car. I mean,
for
they're
sure.
two totally opposite ends of the spectrum there.
And he has some experience there. He's won a driller at the shootout, I believe, right?
Yep.
So even just talking to that, if you're out of it for a little bit, it is tough. And I think I talked about it a little bit after Caleb Johnson. We were texting a little bit after his prelim night. And he said, like we've heard from plenty of wing guys, that it is exactly the opposite of what you're used to. And you got to get up on that curb and wheelie it off to be fast. So it's good seeing him perform well tonight. Got into the D mains. We'll breeze through those quickly. Josh Most and Cole Vanderheiden, they took the transfers out of D1. Andrew Felker and AJ Johnson were the transfers out of D main number 2. Had a little bit more of that carnage and some tempers flaring in the second D main. Mark Chisholm tried to go around Andrew Felker around the middle part of that race. Felker didn't budge, neither did Chisholm, and he caught a right rear, and he went for quite the tumble and gave the old double birds to Felker, which was pretty interesting there. And then again, more bad luck for Jack Wagner. They had gotten his car fixed up after getting into the catch fence in his heat race. But then there was a guy spinning down across the track in turn 4. He just barely clipped him. And I think I had read just before we got on here, it knocked a rod end off and just totally ruined the right rear of the car. So just an absolute nightmare of a night for Jack. Hate to see that. C mains, Clinton Boyles.
Before you go on,
yeah, go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to those double birds. Those were stiff.
He was pissed. He was very pissed, and we actually got a little bit of insight there after the race when Andrew Felker won. He's actually raced for Mark Chisholm in the past, built race cars for him, and he said that they were just racing for the same real estate, and basically shit happens. It's the Chili Bowl, man. You're got to go out there, and especially in a D main, it's no holds bar. You got to just try to make it and survive to the next race.
Yeah, and even Felker said it was kind of dumb on his part. Like they were both locked in, and he didn't really beat the spot. But with a narrow track like that, it was kind of bound to happen, I feel like.
Exactly. That's a good point. I forgot to mention it. It was early on in the night. We did see a little juiced up, a little more narrow than maybe we had seen, I'd say, throughout the entirety of the heat races. But safe to say, it ended up in a pretty damn good space. C mains, like I was saying there, Clinton Boyles did rebound. He won C main number 1. David Gasper, Tyler Edwards, and Cale Coons. They rounded out the top 4 transfers. It was unfortunate to see Jason McDougall seemed like he lost an engine potentially. Went up in big smoke there. I think it was coming to the white flag lap, running P2. So going to be a soup run for him tomorrow. He'll get started pretty early, but we've seen him make a run before. Wouldn't surprise me if he does it again tomorrow. C main number 2, Carson Bolden. He went 4-1, had some passing there. Reese Moran also moved up nicely, 6-2. Luke Hall and Daniel Robinson, 7-3. Rounded out your C main number 2 transfers. And touch on the track surface just a little bit. We heard Clinton Boyles mention it also, and it was something that I had noticed. I'm sure, as a race car driver yourself, you probably noticed that things were shaping up just a little bit differently. It seemed like the top of 1 and 2 is a little bit more crumbly. Yeah, going to use that. More crumbles top of 1 and 2, and then it seemed to ledge up a little bit, have a little bit more of a curb like we've seen most of this week in turns 3 and 4. What do you think about that? It made for some interesting lines, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't quite know what to expect with it being more it just never really packed down enough in 1 and 2 to get a big curb going early anyway. I mean, in the A, it ended up being pretty badass, but it was just weird. The bottom and the slider line was just so dominant through 1 and 2 that I kept waiting. I'm like, somebody's got to just sell this thing out, right?
Yeah. And I did miss Brian Strain Jr. He took probably one of the most vicious wrecks that we had seen of the night up until that point. Just again, we saw someone catch the front stretch fence, and that thing is undefeated this week because he went for one hell of a tumble. And unfortunately for Andrew Felker, he was running in a transfer spot and kind of got sandwiched between a couple of guys. He ended up spinning right as that happened, so he also lost his transfer position and ended his night. So unfortunate for Felker, and again, that's just Chili Bowl. Got to have some luck on your side, and did not have it in that C main. Breeze through the qualifiers here real quickly. Hayden Reinbold won the first qualifier. Gavin Miller, Logan Seavey, Brody Graham, and Jesse Love were the top 5 in that one. The second qualifier went to Steven Snyder Jr., Ace McCarthy, Giovanni Selzy, Ronnie Gardner, Big Drive 10-4, and Jack Berger rounded out the top 5. Had a few more flips in that one. Jeb Sessoms, and then Jet Nunley and TJ Stark got together fighting for the last transfer and ended all their runs. So unfortunate for those guys. And then Gio Bout really screwed his night. He kind of had a mess up out of turn 2 while leading. Bout killed it. He kept it running, but ended up falling back to 3rd, and that is where he finished, as I said. JG, Justin Grant, went 6-1 in the 3rd qualifier. That would put him on the pole for the A main. He was followed by Darren Pittman, Matt Westfall, Mario Klauser, and Hayden Wise. Also had some more tempers flaring. Matt Westfall just absolutely fed Aiden Gatewood, a right rear coming to the checker, knocked him out of the transfer spot. Hate to see that because that was one of those things where that was never going to clear, and I don't think he really cared. There was some feistiness at the top of the ramp, but cooler heads seemed to prevail.
It was a lot less feisty than I thought it was going to be too.
Yeah.
I thought for sure after, like you said, there was no way that thing was clearing, and then they instantly cut to the top of the ramp, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah. And there was some shouting, but they followed the rules. There's no fighting on the ramp,
and it was cordial. I mean, there wasn't many F-bombs thrown. It was pretty tame for what it really could have been.
Yep, and I don't know who the crew guy was, but he accurately called it out that was a pretty crappy move in a PG fashion there. Definitely not PG in the moment. Last qualifier, pretty cool moment. Mason Hannigan, the little hurricane, took the win in that one, and even was getting a little emotional after that. You could tell how much it meant to him. That was really cool. Wout Hoffman's, again, he had one hell of a drive. He went 6-2. That was good enough to put him on the outside pole. He jumped Logan Seavey, who I believe was in that position before that, and was followed by Ryan Paget, Michael Facinto, who went 8-4, and then Casey Schumann rounded out the top 5. B-mains weren't terribly exciting, I'd say. They did touch up the track after the qualifiers. Track was good. Had both lanes, but I think that was a good thing, but also kind of a negative on the racing side. Both lanes were pretty damn equal, and didn't see a ton of passing in either one of them. Jesse Love took the win in the first B main, followed by Hayden Wise, Austin Wood, Jet Nunley, and then in the second B, Brody Graham, Chris Andrews, Frankie Guarini, and Joe Worth were your transfers out of that one. Unfortunately for Carson Bolden, he tried to go to the moon on the front stretch. He got the most airtime that I think we may have seen all week long. It's good to see him walk away from that one, but holy airtime.
Yeah, that was big air, really big air.
Yeah.
Like you said, glad to see him get out of that. That was, as a driver, I saw that and I was like, oh shit, like that was pretty scary.
Yeah, and the best part of that bad moment was he did kind of land on the tail tank, so he didn't land flat. That was something that was when you're that high up. I mean, I think Caleb said it on the broadcast that he was damn near as high as the catch fence, as the top of the catch fence, and could have been worse. Thankfully, everybody that was involved tonight seemingly were okay and were able to walk away. Okay, that leads us into the best A main of the week, I would say. Sure. Don't even think it's close. I was so excited I didn't even put the top 5 in our notes here. I do have the results that I'll read off here in just a second, so we'll just dive right into kind of the play-by-play of this. The first 5 laps of the race were pretty tame, and that was about the most tame that the race was going to be. Justin Grant, he did take the lead early, and Logan Seavey settled in, kind of rode around a little bit in second, and then about lap 10, Seavey showed the nose. JG, he closed the door on him, and then Seavey came with a big bomb. Lap later, took the lead from JG. And then after that, about lap 13, they were getting into traffic, and the entire top 4 were basically nose to tail on the top and bottom. We had Logan Seavey, JG, Steven Snyder Jr., Gavin Miller, and then even Darren Pittman was sticking his nose in that fight. You could tell about halfway through the race, Cade, that things were setting out to be pretty spicy.
Yeah, when they're all under a blanket like that with like more than half of the race left, it's going to be a damn good banger into it.
Yep. And I mean, we had it curbing up on both ends, and
Yeah.
you could launch off that, could really get good runs on the bottom. And yeah, it was great. By the time we got to lap number 15, we did have another lead change. Justin Grant was your leader at that point. Steven Snyder Jr. had gotten himself into P2. Then we had Gavin Miller that was getting into the mix as well. There was also some contact. I didn't have a chance. There was so much going on at that point that I totally missed the lap count. But when they were lost in lap traffic, Seavey got in. Seavey and Darren Pittman got really caught up with a lapper. Pittman was actually pretty lucky, I would say. He kind of monster trucked a little bit over the left rear of the lapper and was able to keep it going, but took Seavey, I think, back to around fourth, I believe. I think he and Pittman were fourth and fifth. And then a yellow came out. So we had 13 laps to go. Another lead change. We need to have, I'm sure Wikipedia might even go back and do some lead change tabulations for us, because Gavin Miller took the lead with 10 laps to go and looked very strong. I thought that, if he was able to get some open track and really get into a rhythm, he may steal the damn thing with Logan Seavey in second and JG in third with 10 to go.
Yeah, that was just like the way that all that stuff played out. It was just like, holy shit. Like they were thinking 2 laps ahead on what they were going to do to the next guy. It was just, that was really smart racing, I feel like. And we got to see some of the best driving midgets duke it out.
You're reading my mind here, because that's exactly where I was going to go. I think that those guys showed why they are so good, number one, but also showed that you can race really, really hard, really, really close, and you don't even have to touch.
Right.
Because they did put on a clinic. You had sliders, you had side by side, you had everything going through lap traffic. And I think that they maybe, a couple guys here and there may have, gave a little bumper tag when there were some of the bombs that they threw, but didn't have any right rears thrown at anybody or anything like that. So for the people that say that, midget racing is just slide or die and knock people out of the way, that's not what we saw tonight, which you love to see.
It was definitely slide or die, but it wasn't feed somebody a right rear by any means.
For sure. For sure. And then with 4 laps to go, the race was kind of flipped on its head, pardon the pun, I guess, because we had just a bomb that was sent by Gavin Miller, excuse me, and JG followed back. Gavin got a big run out of turn 4, cut down underneath of him, got a huge launch off the curb. And again, front stretch wall was undefeated once again, and Gavin Miller took one hellacious ride and landed right on the front of Steven Snyder Jr. He had nowhere to go, and it absolutely killed his car. I don't know if I have seen a midget that torn up, the nose shoved over and broken and everything in quite some time.
I honestly don't think I've ever seen it. And like, I was really shocked that Gavin was putting together that well, or that good of a drive, like he was driving super well.
Yep.
And then it looked like, he like hopped up over the curb and then pointed it straight across the racetrack. Well, by the time he got down to the moisture, he was already going so straight at the wall. Like you saw his wheels lock left and he was just too tight to get turned away from the fence and just climbed up it. And yeah, that was nasty. Really, for Steven Snyder, that was super scary. That's a midget landing right in front of your face.
And I think, trying to think, one of the down tubes, like you could tell it was almost in a V from
it was the
getting
right
landed
one.
on. Yeah. That was scary. And I think somebody in the same crash, somebody had lost a left rear wheel as well, and just had calamity with 4 laps to go. It was insane. So it took a little bit to clean that up. But then we restarted with 4 to go, and basically Seavey checked out from there. He wasn't really challenged after that, but JG had everything he could handle from Wout Hoffman's, who was just incredible. He had such a great drive all night. Very impressive. Really stood out to me. I hand up, haven't really heard much of that name, and I definitely came away from the feature tonight and just the night in general knowing Wout Hoffman's. And honestly, if he can put together drives like that tomorrow night, he very well could be fighting for a driller.
Yeah, for sure. And like we were talking about before we started, we were like, what's he even race? So we're going to have to do our research and
Yeah.
keep tabs on him, because that was a really good night that I don't really feel like was just a stroke of luck for him. I mean, the way that he drove and raced those guys that do it all the time, it was really impressive.
Yep. And if he's a wing sprint car guy, then I'm really ashamed because I like to think that I have a pretty good pulse on the wing sprint car scene. But yeah, Wout Hoffman's that was a great drive. In the end, Logan Seavey, Mr. Friday Night, he picked up yet another prelim night win. I believe that is his fourth, and he's got a streak going here now. He held on, or excuse me, Justin Grant held on to P2, so Seavey and Grant once again are locked into tomorrow night's 55 lap A main. Darren Pittman, you could tell he was a little disappointed post race. Had a hell of a drive, passed a lot of cars tonight, but was not able to get it locked in. He'll start up front in the B main, followed by Hoffman's. Then Giovanni Selzy finished fifth. Another great drive was Jesse Love. He was the hard charger. He charged up from 17th to finish sixth. Ace McCarthy, Hayden Reinbold, Ronnie Gardner, and Hayden Wise rounded out your top 10. Shout out to Austin Wood, who went plus 10. He finished in 11th. Just absolute banger of a race. The back half of the night was amazing. That pretty much had everything that a Chili Bowl prelim night could have. Probably could hold off a little bit on the flips. I know that they're exciting, but there's a lot of torn up shit tonight that probably could do without. But if we can get anything anywhere close to that tomorrow night in the A main, buckle up, man. It's going to be fun.
The cool thing is I feel like we're going to see it like starting in the D mains. They're going to get really good racetracks, and there's going to be a lot of guys that should be locked into the A that are going to be in those lower mains. So it's going to be fun to watch. And again, like we were talking before, it'll be cool to see who puts together the soup runs tomorrow and who drives up and shows they're a badass.
Absolutely. Just, I know I saw I was glitching a little bit, but thanks to Mr. Wikipedia, the pull shuffle draw is complete. Going to read that off here in order from 1 to 10. Kyle Larson, Emerson Axum, Logan Seavey, Blake Hahn, Christopher Bell, Dason Pursley, Hank Davis, Briggs Danner, Justin Grant, and CJ Leary. So that is how your pull shuffle will roll off tomorrow night. One of my favorites. I like that. I don't like the actual racing. I just blanked on the actual format. Do they time, or are they actually racing heads up?
I think they're timed, if I remember right.
Yeah, I believe so. Hand up there. Definitely should have checked that before we came on. So shame me in the comments. That'll be interesting. You know, it's a little wrinkle. I like pull shuffles. That's one thing that we've talked about a little bit at Knoxville with the Nationals. Not at the Nationals, at the Capitani Classic. Yep. That I wish they would maybe go with timed versus the actual racing, especially on a half mile. Even if they're racing heads up, it's a little bit more doable and more exciting on a short track where you can have a little bit better racing. But going to start off tomorrow bright and early, 9 a.m. Central Time with the Q mains. And for full transparency, we will be live once again tomorrow night. Probably are going to stick to probably the B mains and then going into the A main. We'll see. Going to be fun. I wonder what the biggest soup run will be. What do you think? How many mains can we get through?
God, you got to think at least. I mean, you've got some really good guys that are buried. So if they actually show up and race tomorrow, you could see 4 or 5. I feel like maybe even 6.
Yeah, that's where I would probably land. But then you also have to think that like there's also those same good guys are later in the night that you're going to have to compete against there in the the EDC. So we shall see how it goes. Again, just an amazing night of racing. Couldn't ask for much better. We need to hold on to our Monday guest. This is Sprint Car Nights in a way. Do have my Sprint Car Nights t-shirt on. If you want one of those, you can go to teamnetcode.com. We have some Sprint Car Nights, Knoxville Nights, and some Netcode merchandise there. You can also go to the Track Threads shop and get yourself some Cade Higday racing gear as well.
That's
right. Support the show, support our boy Cade here in his quest for a Knoxville Raceway Championship in 2026. But I think that's about it. Kate, do you have anything else you got on your mind before we close her out?
I don't think so. I just really hope that we get that racetrack again tomorrow night for
Oh
the
my
A.
God.
It's going to be hard with it being 55 laps. I mean, obviously the first half's going to be kind of a snoozer, but if you get past 25 or 30 and it gets like that again, I feel like we're going to be in for a damn good show.
And to touch on that just a little bit, I know we've really been gassing up the track crew this week, and I think it's very deserving because they
For
did
sure.
talk. You know, they caught some shit last year with the way in the years past, just kind of the way the track prep went and the way the track ended up at the end of nights. And I don't know if they've done anything else. I'm sure they have besides just the side by sides instead of the push trucks like we've talked about already this week. But whatever they're doing, they need to keep it up because it's been amazing so far. So hat tip to them. And again, a big shout out to everybody else that's involved. I know it's a Herculean effort to keep this thing on the rails. And I mean, they're just constantly, even with having to push cars off, you know, they're just rolling through these races every night. And,
Yeah.
you know, we're wrapping up our show at 10 o'clock in the central time zone. So very, very nice. So as I said, we will round it out here tonight. We will be back tomorrow night with our live show following the A main event. Look for our picks. Gonna have to see. I wonder. We don't really have rules about this stuff. I finally, thank God, Logan Seavey, I finally got on the board. So, you know, if we're gonna pick based on the record this week, you know, I might just have to run it back tomorrow night. But we'll have to deal with the rules committee, aka us, and figure out how we're gonna do that.
Well,
And
being the guy that got last, I vote that we do it the way we've been doing it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I got last this week, so you know I could argue for that too. But we'll see. Drop your picks for tomorrow night's Chili Bowl champion. Who's going to pick up the Golden Driller? Drop that in the chat or drop that in the comments. We will be back tomorrow night. Make sure you are following us on Facebook, all the social media platforms at Team Netcode. Also, again, give us a like, hit subscribe. That is a big help for us on the YouTube platform. We have so much YouTube content coming this year. You really are not going to want to miss it. We have a big announcement on Monday and then some other announcements after that. But like Blake was talking about last night, we got a game-changing announcement coming Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time. Otherwise, I'm at Josh_Gerlach on X. He's at Cade Higday, and Blake is at Blake_Walker8. I appreciate you watching us all week long. We've got one more to go. We will see you tomorrow night. Take care, everybody.